All right. I think we are live. Welcome, everybody, and welcome back. This is Midlanders. This is Goblinstone, session 12 now. And tonight we start out in the market square that the heroes have so arduously made their way back to after a long and dangerous journey beneath the city and into the bowels of the Goblin Stone, finding secrets and many more mysteries. They have won their way back through the sewers and through the streets, and are now welcomed back into the relatively safe environment of the market square. They've seen some changes, new barricades in place, some people that they didn't recognize before, and a few people missing, perhaps from the last the fight that was the distraction for everyone to slip away and slip into the stone. But and they come back without any of the people, the kidnapped people that they were trying to save, the townsfolk, back to some of the people of the square. But they didn't come back entirely empty-handed. They came back with a more solid understanding of what was happening. They came back with one of the relics of Arabelle. And they came back with a very changed demeanor and perspective, perhaps at least most notably in Millie and Helena. And that is, and that is where we left off. You had a little bit of interaction. You all, moved about the square and saw to some business. Cliff going immediately to have his wounds seen to. But we didn't really dig too much into anything going on in the square, finding out more information, sharing too much of what was learned, or anything like that. So we will start off just where we left off, 20, 30 minutes into having returned to the square. Now, what do you all, let's see here. Let's see here. Big details you all feel we should remind the viewers about for last session. All right.
I mean, I could recommend. It was crazy. We, escaped finally. The little goblin that we trusted, who we've indoctrinated into worship of whatever flame we're all following now that we're a cult. The guy came through, and I think he got away. So good job, buddy.
Indeed.
We also have to prepare the town for an aerial assault. We've had a vision of that, right?
You have seen that at some point in the future there will be things flying over the area. And it might do to take precautions against that. Now, given that this is like a single place of, well, as far as you know, it's the only, well, you can hear another place where it sounds like townsfolk are fighting back. But this being one of the few places of resistance, you expect that the goblins are going to hit it hard. They're going to keep trying to crack it until they can clear it out. You assume they're trying to take over the city, but perhaps they just want meat for their masters, and then they will leave the city alone. But that seems unlikely. So starting off, you all, let's see here. The sounds of the city is a strange mixture. You can hear some of the sounds of daily life going on, and some of them are so common that you can't tell whether they're the sounds of goblins going about life or the sounds of the other folk of the city. But you also hear pockets of fighting here and there. You hear the shouting of the invaders in their their rough and sharp tongue. You hear them shouting at each other, or perhaps shouting to cow other villagers that they may have found in pockets here or there. You hear sounds like sort of rolling up from the docks below. It sounds something like an ongoing riot down at the docks. Whether it's fighting or something else, it'd be hard to say without getting out into the neighborhood, up into some of the taller buildings, and getting a view over the city, perhaps. But you all have noticed there's a few new faces. There's another guard in armor of the City Watch of Arabelle. So there, maybe some more people you can ask. The notable people that have been brought back, or that are here, that you did not recognize before. Again, there is a guard to the south named Willem, who has appeared since you all have been gone. Where is she at? There is a dwarven woman standing, very well dressed in, almost foppish, very high shoulders, lots of dripping tendrils of lace, slashes at the puffed shoulders and hips, showing silks underneath. She has a cadence to her voice that matches the instruments arrayed around her pack and waist. Flutes and fifes and zithers, a couple of small drums at her waist, and something that looks like a lute, but it's a round-bodied instrument of some sort. She seems to be engaged with Mim and Nilnan, and helping them move all of their wares and get their wagon ready to move. Looks like they're going to move it over in front of the Mistfilled Square dining hall. But let's go ahead and highlight our tokens and roll initiative and see what you all decide to do with your time.
Not sure where I'm at.
I don't think the token's not been brought out yet. Let's see, I'll bring her out near the coffee people for you. So, Millie, yeah, you're one of the people that know the faces in the square the best and have a better idea of who's who and what's what. You're one of the first ones to pick out some of the newcomers. A couple of what look like highborn or noble folk. Rather shady-looking halfling sitting at Baba Brune's bar. The others, some of them are the wharf rats. There's a half-elven woman named Quintara who's with the guard down to the south. There's a fellow named Nathel that you actually recognize. He's lives a few streets over. Son of a middle class merchant family. He's pretty surly, pretty quiet, kept to himself. not well received by people for the most part. Not a very charismatic fellow. But something about the guy always sort of the person, even when you were kids, probably something about the person always was off-putting. You just never really liked the person. You watch Cliff amble over and disappear into the apothecaries and get treated, and see the rest of your allies taking their ease or making their preparations for their next moves. What is Millie getting into?
I think after that, so Millie will offer a bit of her newfound abilities to kind of heal up or cure anyone who's very hurt, very injured, and really just expunging the last of the lay on hands points that I have now that we are back somewhere semi-safe.
Okay. Well, there are a few people wounded. One that you think after you... Well, you can make a medicine check as you come in to check on the two people.
Uh, 15. Yes.
Okay. You see, sadly, that there's 5 sheets totally covering people. That seems like pretty recently. Some people have succumbed to wounds or something else. And, people are... there's a lot of things to be done, but soon those people will be moved out and placards will be made for them so they can be hopefully claimed by their relatives. But you spot 2 that you're not certain about their health. You go over and you check one. You don't see any wounds on them, but they look pale. Their hair is matted to the sides of their face. But you don't see anything immediately that you can heal. You don't see any signs of disease. You don't see any physical wounds. Their hands are bruised from maybe falling over and catching themselves on some rubble, but so you're not really sure what you can do there. But the other one, it seems to be, a wealthy merchant in his bedclothes, like he was maybe caught unawares, a late sleeper. The side of his face is matted in blood, and looks like some serious blunt trauma was done to his head.
Kind of heal him up a little bit, but also pour healing into the other person. Like, I think it takes me 5 points to remove a disease.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of like looking at them and just kind of like a poison, thinking they're either poisoned or diseased. I'll just try to expunge that. I think we leveled, so it gave me all my things back, but I know you don't believe we do it that way. So I had 5.
In this case,
all?
Seeing this place is restorative. As you come back into the square, you are immediately able to almost assume sort of a restful mental state, and you can start tapping into new abilities.
And I'll lay 5 into this unknown illness person, and then 2 into our wounded merchant.
Okay. The one laying down sort of under the sheet doesn't seem to have any effect on them. She still seems to be sleeping, breathing fairly shallowly, but she's breathing. She doesn't seem to have been diseased. Certainly didn't hurt her, but he didn't seem to change her condition.
Diseased or poisoned. Interesting. All right.
But the sort of wealthy fellow, his eyes start to roll, behind his eyelids, and his breathing starts to deepen and regulate a bit. His color comes back, and the sort of, well, yeah, what would be the word for it? The indention in the side of his head seems to vanish, sort of almost reversing itself a bit at your touch. You suspect this one's going to make it through the day, at the very least.
Lily will kind of nod to herself and then head on out. Seeing that she was able to help a little bit, she will head on over to the restaurant, the dining hall, and just offer her assistance in helping get people fed and cook. Having been the kind of main caretaker for a group of urchins, she knows some basic skills in cooking.
Okay. Make an insight check as you head over and begin to make yourself useful.
13.
Well, people are reacting to you differently than they did before. A lot of times it's, I'm pretty familiar with you, but I've always treated you like a kid, which makes sense. You're one of the younger people, but also you don't own any property or, have any sort of business or anything like that. So people's attitude to you is different. There's a sort of quietness. They give you more space. There's no sense of diminutizing behavior. Like, no one tries to tousle your hair or call you by a shortened nickname. In fact, most people are calling you Millicent instead of, the name people had called you for the most part. So it's up to you if you insist on being called by the nickname. But if not, you just seem to default.
Tell him, just Millie. No one's called me Millicent in years.
There's some respectful nods to this. But someone does say, all grown up now. It doesn't seem proper to call you such a cute name.
Find a new name at some point.
There's some chuckles at that. People are also giving you sort of glances that they haven't before. They usually just look at you straight on in the face, or they wouldn't care if you were noticing them looking at you. But they seem to be kind of stealing glances at you now. You suspect it has something to do with your changed appearance, the luster in your eyes, that golden glow to your skin.
Kind of just note it mentally.
Okay.
Not really trying to bring it up or get praise for it, because I'm still not certain about it, and what it truly means. Also kind of curious if it had been something where we overstepped societal bounds or something, because Papa Bruin's statement about it last time. So prior, so she's kind of like, yeah, all right, and then just continues helping cook, helping serve, making sure people get food, and getting some food for those who came down into the stone with her.
Ah, okay. So pretty quickly, they get you to, wash some leeks and potatoes. They get you, to mix some batter, get you to move a couple of casks, and then they try to get you out as quickly as possible. And you start to feel like, you've got things that you're good at they can't do, and maybe you should let them have the thing that they're good at, yeah, it seems to be mixed pride and concern for you. That way they sort of, chivvy you back out of the kitchens at some point, and yeah, someone shouts at you to sit down and eat your meal before you wander off and finish working and take food to everybody else. And once it's noted that you're starting to prepare food, somebody else starts taking the stuff right out of your hands. Somebody familiar enough with you to get away with it, and start putting stuff in a larger basket and putting a kit together for you to take out. But around you, food is set on the table, a mug, and things are sort of laid out for you. No one actually tries to like grab your shoulders and sit you down or anything, but they do everything else to obligate you that they can. Very gentle, sort of roundabout, politic city folk as they are. So yeah.
As they kind of hustle that basket together, I'll bring it out to my cohorts.
All right. So perhaps X is one of the first people that you spot and wander over toward X or catch X's eyes. X, you see Millie, a basket mounted over, coming out of the out of the dining hall, clearly laden with food. Yeah. Goodness, sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulties. Is X hungry?
Alina, if you want food, you should come and get some. I'm to take it down to Lokag next, so I don't know what will be left over.
How much can I take?
I mean, there's quite a bit in there, so
There
whatever
won't be much
you
left
need to
over
be
after
filled.
I'm done.
This is mostly for us, not for the, I assume, hundreds of rats that probably also have been fed pretty well today.
Excuse me, when you said us, I thought that meant all of us.
No, the five of us that were down in the stone. But if the rats want to come down next time, I'll be sure to pack them a
To be honest,
meal as well.
To be honest, I haven't even seen them lately, and I'm feeling a bit lost. So maybe I'll eat my feelings.
Gotta be somewhere.
She just follows suit and starts filling up a rat pelt satchel. Is full of many biscuits and mostly dry things. There's probably a few things in there that's pretty nasty to be putting in a. It's all nasty. Let's just be real.
Hardened pelt of a rat.
Oh God, man! I can't. Why did I do this?
That's better than a hand plate, I suppose. I think. X, anything for you?
No, thank you, Millie.
Alright, I'm gonna find Cliff before, I'm sure Lokag's probably gonna eat this whole basket, so.
Billy, as you cross the square, you catch the eyes of the whole time. You're catching the eyes of familiar people. If they haven't seen you before, they're waving at you. If they have seen you before, you might just catch a glance of them looking over and smiling at just at your presence. Yeah, actually starting to see your effect on people. So, as Millie floats, not floats, saunters, trudges by, food laden, moving over toward Cliff. What is X doing during this?
X is going to go into the armor shop and try to negotiate himself a breastplate.
Okay.
Upgrade my armor.
The always well-spoken and conscientious and somewhat hesitant Mildred is present. He sometimes reminds you of a stork, the way he stands there almost partially leaned forward, You almost expect him to pick one foot up and, sort of cock it next to his hip like a water bird, a flamingo or stork. Not so graceful, you think, as a heron, but as ready, perhaps, and as careful. What, X? Good to see you again. It is good after you all slipped out of the square and, well, the goblins descended on us again. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. To be sure, forgive me, X. I know there's been some changes in your fortune over time, and not to pry, but I'm used to calling you by a title. What should I call you now, Master X?
I am just X.
He kind of opens his mouth and closes it a few times, indicating that he doesn't quite accept this. It doesn't seem proper to him, but he sort of nods to himself and says, X is a good name. I suppose not everyone noble has to carry a title. But anyway, I'm prattling on. What can I do for you? What do you need?
I need a breastplate.
Oh, well, let's see, just the breastplate then?
That will be all.
We can do that. They're a bit beaten, but certainly serviceable. Willem, good guardsman, Willem was smart enough to grab some equipment from some of his fallen squad. Sadly, before he came in, it's just there at the table by the front. All of that is free. I couldn't charge for it. It's not mine, and but Bardubil is fixing anything up if it's not to your liking. He needs to. It's good to keep him busy, worried as he is.
And that was the blacksmith guy we met?
Yeah. Dwarven chap, his son, apprentice, perhaps both, is missing. You set with him briefly. Got some scrap metal from him to lay out some caltrops, kind of thing. But he just kind of points to the front door of his own shop. Mildred's indicating there's chainmail shirts, a suit of chainmail, 2 breastplates, a shield. They're all dinged up and scraped up. Looks like most of the weapons off that sort of free table have been claimed. But one of the breastplates is a city watch. The other one is a palace guard. Somehow, you're not sure what the story there is, but they're both serviceable, neither of them magical. One is gilded with purple lacquer, and the other has like sort of silver edging and has like sky blue lacquer on it. So
whichever one is better for hiding. So let's take the less shiny one.
Okay. Well, you could probably go to Bardubil and have him take a hammer and just crack the lacquer off pretty easily. At least make it irregular and easier to disguise yourself in.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. And I had note that we picked up some copper somewhere. There was something like small that I picked up that was copper when we were searching.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it was from the statues down at the bottom. Could I get him to use that to make me a holy symbol? Because I mean, technically, I don't currently have a holy symbol made, so
Yeah.
I'd like to do that for purposes of, game consistency. Get a symbol.
Yeah, so out of the alcove that used to hold the statue of Cuchulainn, that's where you got the copper and brass. It's somewhat mixed together, but it can be separated pretty easily. Bardubil could probably do something. He does some basic casting. He's not really an artist or artisan per se, but he could do something serviceable.
Okay, and then I got one more thing on my shopping list. Do we want to do that now or wait till the next round of initiative or whatever?
We can do it now.
Play it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to visit the blacksmith for that stuff. Dalton, make the breastplate Heidi, and get a holy symbol. And then I want to get some inks. So I've got stuff for making tattoos. He's gonna keep adding to his collection of artwork on his skin. So he's gonna get some ink for tattoos, but also like some ink and paper for scrolls. If we could make those at some point, I want to be prepared.
Okay. So yeah, as far as getting new inks and things like that for your tattoos, the apothecary might have some of the materials you need, or will have some of the materials you need. And then to the southwest of the square, there's a bookseller and scrivener shop where Yelena should be able to supply you with a number of different inks, paper to do different drafts of the artwork itself, and whatever else you need. And,
Hey, we haven't really done a party money pool yet, so can I assume that we're paying for these things out of the party pool, or do I need to
well, we can
sign an IOU?
We can take a step back from like the initiative, and this is likely something the party might want to discuss. So maybe X, you bring it up to everybody. Maybe you go talk to everybody and see what everybody thinks. Or is that not X's style?
Yeah, I mean, X would want to maybe prompt the action, but not be in charge of it.
Sure. Okay, so X, one way or the other, he gets everyone together, and he brings up to you, like, how are we dealing with resources? Is it each of us for ourselves? Are we trying to pool resources? That sort of thing. So, yeah. What are everybody's thoughts? Millie, what are your thoughts?
We have money?
All right. What about Cliff? What are his thoughts?
Yeah, Cliff's in the infirmary, and I guess you come by and talk to him about it, and he's sort of wallowing in his own pain. He's laying down. He's holding his chest, just making a whole big thing out of it.
And a
it
cool
probably
rag
shouldn't
on
be
his
that
head.
big a deal. Yeah, I'm just like, man, I don't know. Look, we got to pool our resources if we want to have, I don't know, healing potions. The kind of things we're all going to need to survive. People want something fancy that's going to make it, then we can talk about it, but I figure we got to pool our resources. This whole goddamn town needs to pool our resources, and we got to strike back and figure out what's going on here. So we shouldn't be holding any of these resources. As much as this town can give it up, we should be borrowing for a future that might exist. This feeling.
All right. What about Lokag? What are his thoughts?
As X approaches and asks about the sharing party resources, Lokag is just going to pull out the 16 platinum that he found in that tower and hand it to X. Here you go. Yes, for the party.
All right. Does Helena have any thoughts about pooling resources?
He's got a great idea from chat. I'm gonna go sell that chessboard.
The chessboard that you stole from the square?
Somewhere else. I'm gonna sell it in the square, not where I stole it from.
Cool. I just wanted to make sure.
Sell it right back to its own owner.
I mean, if they wouldn't notice, it would be one hell of a. It would be a pleasure for Helena.
Technically, we should split up all the pieces. So You know, maybe I could have the knights and the rooks.
Pot them separately.
Separate.
Yeah, someone else gets the bishops.
Do you think anyone want to buy an incomplete chess set?
I hope so.
Hope so. We just all come back and be like, "Hey, I just found this. I see that you have a partially completed chess set. Would you like to buy this off?" One
There's
person
3
after another.
pawns, 1 rook, 1 bishop.
I mean, I definitely would play chess. We could kill some time and hang out and play some chess. You know?
Well, that would
If
be
you can.
funny antagonistic. So, the card I'm in front of right now, isn't that where I stole it from?
You stole, I think, from, let's see, the Sundry Imports, just to the south, so close, or just to the just
Well,
to
we
the
could
southwest.
maybe play chess like literally right in front of him, and then provoke like,
If
"Hey,
you wanna,
that's
mess
my
with them.
chessboard," and I'd be like, "Are you calling me a thief?" I may be
why
a
would
lot of
we play right in front of you like that? I mean, come
Why?
on.
That's so logical, right? Exactly. It's the perfect setup.
Right. Right.
You know, and they accuse us and be like, "Look, if it'll make you feel any better, I'll sell it to you."
Well, you recognize the man. You think his name is Larude. He's wearing a chain shirt and he's got a crossbow. He's guarding, and so he's not at his booth. It looks like some of it's been sort of tied down. You know, some of it's been secured. But he's not going to be guarding forever. Likely there's going to be a shift change. So, and it looks like he's camping underneath the wagon at the moment. Has a bedroll and some stuff laid out underneath his wagon. So he'll definitely be back. You could go over to their post, and there's some crates out front of the Chandlers. You could play chess there, right in front of the new guard Leroux, if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we would know who that is, which I imagine Lena would, then yeah, of course, that's even less suspicious. You know, I think it's like we're just here playing chess. I mean, how dare you accuse? Like, how many chessboards are there in the world? You know. Just because I have
Quite a
one, I
bit.
think it's classist. It's discrimination, actually.
It
You
should be
know-
like there's one in the world, and this guy owned it.
You can always
Right.
use
Who
that.
does he think he is?
It's a pretty standard excuse now. We found it on a goblin.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I'd be willing to part with it if it actually was his. Just, you know, for the right price. Because it's so, I've really kind of gotten attached to it. I've never had anything that nice.
The right
Right, we got our
reward.
story.
The right reward.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like you're selling it to him when it's already his.
Yeah, I like this plan. All right. I think it's foolproof. That's what we're doing. Let's go. She takes the chessboard with purpose, great purpose, and starts setting it up right in front of him.
All right.
Who's playing with me?
Was it Cliff?
I'll play. Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
So that'd be up at the top left, up at the Chandlers. There's that. You can see that crate right out front. It'd be a decent spot.
Yeah, right up, right.
All right. Now you're trying to get this person's attention, get them to notice the chessboard, but also trying to, convince them that it's not theirs, right?
Yes.
And Cliff has got no idea about this plan. He just thinks we're gonna play some chess.
Right.
He needs a little
I think
downtime,
Cliff-
and he's too sick to do anything else, But it's nice for you to keep him company, as he's just so injured.
Love it.
All right. Yeah. I mean, you don't know anything about her stealing the chessboard.
No,
You're surprised that she has such a nice chessboard.
Classist
Yeah.
thinking. I could have a gold toilet for all you know.
Please no.
You find all kinds of stuff in the sewers.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think that's going to be a deception check, right? And now he bought it. He's somewhat familiar with you, so it's going to be at a disadvantage.
Why is that so funny? Oh, look at that. 1919.
Nice.
Wow.
All right.
Nice.
Roll a straight single roll for this commoner. I don't have have much in the way of bonuses. But they do, have some good insight and know you. And so you're seeing, there's a barricade again, broken furniture, of rope that's sort of tied in between the downspouts on the gutters, blocking off the alley. And LaRue's leaning against the alchemist, the alchemist wall, and looking at this other a half-elf named Phaleth, and sort of talking idly. LaRue notes you coming over. As you squints as you start pulling out the pieces of the chessboard. Continues, just drawn back into his conversation with the red-headed half-elf. Both occasional pause and will look through the gaps in the barricade or listen. His eye, kind of comes back to you more and more often, though. And at some point, he's not even looking at the chessboard. He's just staring daggers at Helena, trying to get her to look up to see if he can see it in her eyes, see if he can see the lie,
So she starts, she pulls out like a roll, like the crispiest one, the flakiest one she can find in that little rat satchel she has. And she starts eating it right over the chessboard and looks right at him, getting crumbs all over it.
He kind of squints and cocks his head again the other way, as if like, what are you doing? What is this? Says LaRue's face, sort of wide, almost squat features, is pretty pale, olive toned skin, bit of stubble. He's usually well shaven. You can see that Phaleth is talking to him, nodding, trying to get his attention, and finally, Phaleth kind of turns around and looks at the chessboard. Not, super knowledgeable about LaRue's wares. Looks at it for a moment, looks up at you. You hear Phaleth say, "Wow, it's a nice chessboard. Amazing. What? It must belong to Clifford," says the half-elf.
I bring a pawn forward. Your move.
Helena laughs.
He kind of looks up, just smiles at them,
Flakes
I
a
said,
roll.
huh?
Flakes a roll going everywhere. She goes, "It happens to be mine." And she takes and she moves a piece, probably a rook, in a diagonal fashion. Many spaces, many spaces.
We're playing monster chess, everybody. He's gonna play along. He'll play along with her because he's not gonna try to teach the rules right now, and he doesn't know the rules that well himself either. So I think I'll make an in check just to see how smart he is. It'd be funny if he's.
Nice, nat 20.
He's a pro. He's a pro at chess. I rolled a 20 on it. Okay. Nice.
At least in this instance, yeah.
He knows this special version of chess where rooks can do that. So he's like, you're clearly playing the Kasparov variant. And then he pulls out a bishop and he makes it move like a rook.
She laughs and says, "He called me. Of course I would be, because I've played so much chess on this beautiful chessboard of mine." What are you looking at, LaRue?
I just think someone should teach you how to properly play the game. It's having a deja vu. I've a chest set just like that in my wares.
If you're such a pro, then come over here and show me.
Perhaps after...
Get a good look. Get a good look at this.
No, I stand my ground. I'm told to stand here and keep watch for goblins, and...
I don't smell that bad today. Don't give me those excuses.
No excuses. His brow beetles down. He seems somewhat frustrated. I'm trying to make myself useful. No one
useful if I'm so abhorrent in chess. I obviously don't know what I'm doing. Ah, she picks up a knight and she puts it like in the corner of the board.
He sort of
Checkmate.
takes one hand off his crossbow and he's holding it back. He's like, no, no. I think Clifford has you just fine. He's a good player. Better than me.
Just give her a little time. She'll figure it out. She needs to start off with a little bit of a, more flexible rule set, and we'll rein her in and get her so she gets to understand the rules correctly. I promise you.
But you'll laugh when you see. After I'm finished with my shift, I'll show you a piece from my set, and you'll see it's must be the same maker.
Oh, you say you had the same one. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a rare one of a kind.
It's certainly. Was it an heirloom for you?
No, I found it. Of a dead goblin.
I suppose it's not unlikely that someone in the village could have afforded it, but the merchant said one of these sets had never been sold in Arabelle. Merchants. He grins. Fully aware that he himself is a merchant. Some of them you just can't trust. But I would fancy a game, perhaps, in the afternoon, or after my shift.
I'm always down for a game. I'm gonna be stuck here in bed, just
I mean-
recovering now for hours. So please, you gotta come and keep me entertained.
I would want to, but I might try to sell this chess set later today, so I really need the money.
That's a really nice chess set. You wouldn't want to get rid of something that's beautiful. The craftsmanship, that's really something. What you got here, I hate to see you sell it.
That of food, everyone's always making fun of me all the time. Maybe I should buy a hairbrush or something.
Well, if there's other games that you fancy better, perhaps procuring another set, perhaps other games would be better. Perhaps dice or cards are more your game. Good, Helena. But if you were interested in offloading such a heavy and cumbersome, albeit very fine set, I could stand to have two to offer after all this madness is cleared up. He sort of squints off to the sky over the houses as if he's looking at a weather pattern, not a stone invading, having crashed down on the city.
It's very heavy. But don't get me wrong, I know how much it's worth, so don't try to sell me short.
Ah, well, how much might you ask for the fine set? Good, Helena.
Well, I know it's worth 50. Gold pieces, that is.
Oh, well, now that would be a steep one for me. A bit different than what I charged, or what I paid for it, mine. But I could certainly, in hard times, and for, a champion of Market Square, I could certainly give you 50 sovereigns for it.
Starts packing up.
I've only got till the evening. My shift will be over. You could meet me over at my wagons. We could split a flagon of ale between us to seal the deal.
As long as everyone thinks we got time for that, sure, it sounds great.
Well, I am not so much the one to ask.
I'm the hero of the
No.
town square, after all. I'm busy. I got heroing to do. Mouths to feed.
I think most are going to be looking to you all to call the shots and say what's coming next. Most of the folk in the square are merchants, craftsfolk, and people like yourself. No guard captains around, no mayors, or not so much as an ombudsman. But, yeah, you meet me, then he's kind of watching you hastily pack up. But you weren't finished the game, says Phaleth.
Had a deal, and then I figured that, Cliff was losing anyway, so why not? I'll go polish up the pieces for you or something. How's that sound?
That sounds fine. I was enjoying watching the game, says Phaleth. Not much to look at through the barrier, and can only look at the square for so long.
Okay, fine. She sets it back up. I'll play for real this time.
You want to play? You want to play her? Cliff offers to allow him to play if he likes.
At this point, a well and foppishly dressed dwarf wanders over. She kind of looks down at the board. Just here to watch, says the dwarf in a sort of high-pitched trill. The name's Bear, she says, and curtsies. Or Barandwin, if you prefer. I like a bear. It makes me sound tough,
Go Bears. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, Bear. Ugh.
Sure, bears. Everyone likes bears. Go Bears. I thought I'd stand in line for whoever's next. I'd like to play the next one. I don't. I'm a student, but not. You'll both enjoy giving me a good trouncing, and I'll enjoy learning from you, and passing the time a bit.
You hop right in here. Helena, you want to play our new friend Bear?
Love to play you, Bear. Why not? I have some time to pass before I make a great sale and purchase what I will from that point.
I gotta rest.
Well, if you could sit for just a spell there, Clifford. I've got a flagon of decently old brandy. Could finish off.
Excellent.
Provided
Brandy.
I can ask you some questions about what you've seen, and this is historical times we're living in, and I wouldn't be a proper bard if I wasn't trying to share the news in verse and keep it down for generations ahead. And I wouldn't turn my nose up at making a coin or two from it. But
I'll tell you all about it.
Good.
Of course.
Well then.
What I remember, at least.
Oh, very good. We'll just sit and have a game, and you just tell me what you want to tell me, and maybe I'll ask any questions I got.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
No convincing, though. You're on your own here.
So she nods and settles onto the bench, and ends up picking black, so she goes second. Helena's move is first, and she just sits down, opens the flagon, and sets it in front of Helena. I think we'd like to pause there and step over to Lokag, if that's all right, as you all begin being interviewed by Bear. What is Lokag doing? Your friends have gone. Food is being carried around. You can kind of smell it. Cliff has gotten out of the infirmary. But X is on a lot of errands. He's moving. He's kind of crisscrossing the square. What's Lokai doing? What's his main move? See you down over at the brewery with Baba Brune.
Yep, I think Lokag would have stopped in to say hello to his good friend Baba Brune, and he's also as people are working and things, he's walking around trying to be helpful, offering to carry big heavy things, anything that might need to be moved, maybe helping with that wagon, get it to the alleyway. But I think he would also want to, in some time, head over to the arms and armor and just see what armor selections they have available.
Okay. Let's
Looking
see
for
here.
medium.
Oh, okay. So there's another beat up breastplate. I'm assuming the brighter sky blue one is the one that's left. He has some panels in the back for inserts because the breastplate's going to be a little bit too big for you on the ribs. So he's got steel panels to lay in there. For that, looks like there's a rough set of hide, another rough set of scale, a decent set of scale, some banded. There's a full suit of banded and a full suit of half plate. Half plate's displayed in the front window, I believe, right? No one has gotten that half plate yet.
How much is that breastplate you have there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, at no charge, says Mildred. That's collected from the city. Those that were using it don't need it anymore. They were defenders of the city. It should be passed on to those who are doing the work, like you and your friends. So, yeah. So everything on the table there and the barrel is all up for grabs. There's a couple of spears, another longsword, looks like a glaive, quarterstaves, some leather, some studded leather, chainmail shirts, a suit of chainmail, at that breastplate, and a couple of shields.
So, then I would like to take the breastplate, as long as it is not of need in the square at the moment.
Oh, it's needed. I think it's needed we need you to wear it. That way, ensure you'll keep coming back, because you're gonna go out into the city again, aren't you?
Oh yes, we are going back. We did not find the captives yet. We need to find another way into the stone. But we were perhaps woefully unprepared for what we found there. And he'll kind of give just no specific details, but just kind of give a brief inclination of what it's like in the stone. All the goblins, the swamp in the bottom. Yeah.
He kind of stares and listens, shivering occasionally. Yeah, he kind of rubs his shoulders as if he got a chill from somewhere. That's quite the tale. I'd say you'd need some good boots. The outfitters would have. Yeah, you need oil and lanterns. Seem wise. I think he's got some waterproofs, some leather hose you could wear under your boots, keep your feet dry. Yeah, there's all sorts of diseases they say can attack the feet. At least that's what they say down at the docks area. Travelers that come in spoke on that sort of thing. I don't know much about that life, but that sounds proper terrifying. Well, we have a few things that got. Bardubel has been making some rough things. He made a few things he thought would be useful. I'm not sure why he left them here. They're in another bin underneath the table. He reaches over and slides it out, and it looks like there is a grappling hook. Looks like there's several large. They look like pitons for climbing, but they have other bars and rings off of them. He says that they can be used for all sorts of things, from hanging a lantern on, or he said that Bardabel, said that a proper dungeoneer would know what to do with them. Now, I know that Cyril and Elneth have been working on potions and brews for you. Might check over there and see what they've come up with. I mean, I know some of the old tales. You know, if didn't Cuchulainn use a silver mirror in the tombs under hill? I think to see around. To see through the balefire. If you remember the balefire story, it was there was a light coming from one chamber, a candle on a haunted grave, and that light cursed everything. But he could put the mirror out into the hallway in the light, and apparently seeing through the mirror was a cheat. He also used chalk, I think, to keep from getting lost in the maze under hill. So maybe some chalk and a mirror. I don't know.
These are very good things. And those are all there with him, or is he suggesting from like the different shops around different?
The outfitters should have him. He just kind of points to the south. I've just weapons and armor, the things to carry him and wear him with, and not much else, honestly, says the older man. But here, let me help you into that breastplate, and
Thank you. Thank you.
There's any of these poles, this a spear, the glaive. There's the heavy crossbow up in the front. You'll have to owe me for it, but if we all make it through this.
Well, I have been quite enjoying this hammer. We have encountered many slimes. Do you have anything good for dispatching slime?
No, I don't, but I'd bet Elnus and Cyril would know a bit more about the slimes. There's precautions people sometimes have to make. Sometimes they dug down a little too deep for their jakes out on the back of their property, and slimes might be coming up into their back garden. And I think lye and alum, maybe mixed together, is used to ward them off. Powder put on, in areas. It's said to dry them out, but I don't know if that story is any count. I'd ask Elneth and Cyril.
Thank you. This has been very helpful.
My pleasure. He kind of leans forward again. Sir, anything else that you or your company needs? Arrows and the like, or a better armor? I saw a couple of you coming in wearing some rather light equipment. So maybe tell Helena and Millie, X, and Cliff. They might come in and see me, and we'll see about making them look just a little more survivable.
This is all excellent, and you have been quite helpful. Thank you for allowing me to take this hammer. This maul has already seen great action and will continue to crush skulls of goblins.
He kind of looks up at the hammer with an odd, quizzical look on his face, as if he's really like seeing it for the first time. You can make an insight check. You can make it with advantage because, yeah, it's strictly situational. You know people appreciating weapons and armor.
13.
Yeah, you think he's actually really looking at some of his wares for the first time, and he says, "This has always been a business. It's always been, an honorable thing when I sell a blade to a guard captain or a noble blade master, but I haven't given too much thought to what's done with them. I'm glad you have that one. And, yeah, there's an honor in having put it in your hands, I think. It looks right there. Certainly better than it ever did, hanging above my counter.
The honor is all mine.
I disagree, respectfully, he grins. But you have more important things to do than argue with an old man, so you just let your friends know they needn't worry about money until after. Come get what they need, and we'll put them in it.
I will, indeed. And Lokag will thank him again, and then he will, he's going to head to the travel outfitters.
Okay. So as you step back out, there is, it's pretty quiet inside Mildred's shop. Pretty thick glass, thick walls. As you step back out, there's a little bit of a, just a bubbling sound from the market square. A town in miniature. Some of the broken stalls and booths are being rebuilt into small shanties. Awnings are over in front of businesses are being sort of enlarged. And the barricades at the multiple avenues into the square are constantly being improved. About the time you are scooting out and walking, down toward the outfitter is about the time you catch Millie, having made her rounds, making her way to you. The smell of warm bread and some sort of hot vegetables sort of precede her as you catch her eye.
Lokag, I bring food.
Oh, excellent. I am starving. He's going to reach in both hands and take 2 rolls. And, I mean, one's gone in a bite. It's just in his face. He goes, "Is this all for me?"
That it is.
Full of bread.
That it is.
Lokag is just overjoyed and just takes the basket from your hands. And, did you eat already? Of course.
I did.
He continues to grab rolls. Oh, this is good. This is good. Much better than that Cliff Bar. And he's just gonna say thanks again as he now he's got kind of like a strut to his step as he's eating rolls, walking to the traveling outfitter, just going to need to balance these carbs with some protein. And he's gonna kind of walk into the outfitters with the rolls still, and mouthful of bread, scream out, "I need new boots!"
So another older gentleman. This does not look like a merchant. He looks like a noble. You've not seen him before. Is sitting outside and sort of turns to follow you in. I'm right here. I can hear you just fine.
Oh, don't mind me. That's just my normal speaking voice. I'm very loud and large.
I've heard you many times, and I don't mind you at all. You put quite a bit of punishment down on those dastardly goblins, and it's appreciated. Please, come. I own this store, but I've never run it. At least, not since I was very young. Other businesses, you see, have kept me busy, but recent events have... I found my way back here. Now, you said boots. I'm Let me go into the back, he says, and sort of wanders off as you get a moment to go through and look at some of the, belts and baldricks and harnesses. There's clothes, pants, jerkins, coats, hats. A lot of it's very sturdy and traveler's gear. Some of it's fine and some of it's very plain. Little of it is very large. Most of the large stuff is built for a very muscular human, a very tall and muscular human, but is not quite built for you. What he brings back for you is one set of knee-high, they are burgundy leather. The sides, like the calf, there's like circles cut into it, and a different, like a bright yellow leather is set. It's all cleverly cut, so it looks like a sun disc is set on each calf. There is a fringe of sort of gold rope at the top, sort of tassels hang from the top of the boots, and the toes curl inward. There's rings on them as if you would affix small bells to, but there's no bells attached to them. The other set is about ankle high. It flares out open and sort of sags down. It has somewhat of a heel on it. They're large enough and fit for you, but they both look like they're made for nobles. They are very fine. The one is a bright blue that's not the same tone, but close enough to the breastplate you got. Those are the low top boots, and the high top with the curled toe are crimson. Both quite fine. Both a decent bit of coin. We'll mark it in the ledgers, unless you have the coin and you'd wish to pay it now.
Oh, well, you can invoice me. We are the heroes, the ones going to the stone. The ones that are basically trying to save the entire town. But feel free to send a bill. Send it to the one with the serious face, the elf person. He has all my money. I gave to him. So...
Yes, your point is doubly impressed on me. And everyone is thankful. Some of us will show it differently. I will show mine with a hefty discount. Both boots are ordinarily about 35 gold, and I often manage to talk the foreign travelers up to about 40, but I would do them for you for 10 gold. That's just a few coins above cost. Sound fair?
Wow, that is very fair. But these boots, I need them. You see here, my friend, the serious face one, he has wrapped my boots in cloth. I am very large, as you can see. Can you see?
Yes, I did. I noticed that nearly immediately. Yes.
Good, you are smarter than I thought. So, I'm going to need boots that help me padded, maybe a little quieter. Either any recommendations from these two pairs?
Oh, well then I would not take the high-topped, the burgundy boots. They're a hard sole. They make a very loud, sharp report that some nobles like, and particularly at court. I would take the low-topped, the blue, the ones that almost seem to spill open. Quite the style these days among the youthful nobles that style themselves after bravos of older times. But they may, I believe they'll fit. If not, we can put a few stitches in them. I would be happy to. I wouldn't
Excellent.
if they were on the outside, but since they'll be on the inside, it won't. I won't make a neat stitch. It's not I never really learned, but I know how to fit them to you, and it won't alter the appearance, so.
Fantastic.
It's the best I can offer. There's a reason I'm running the store.
Yes. Well, we shall Please, Sydney bill to serious face. And
I'll just put it in the ledgers, and if the time comes that we'll settle it then. I believe Mildred has the same deal. Many of us have spoken, and you'll get a similar accounting at all of the booths and shops here in the square. We're all willing to put off payment until later, but, and we all have other various ways of showing our appreciation for you.
So, I think Lokag will take the boots, get them on. They seem to fit, even if a little snugly, but he's okay with that. And then get the other things that the shopkeeper in Arms and Armor had spoken about. Chalk and the mirror. And he just thinks like, oh yes, the party will love these things.
Yeah, he manages to supply all that. A couple of those mirrors. He also offers lanterns and says that they've got about a half a barrel of good lantern oil in the cellar, secured away, in case that's needed. So yeah, he gives it all to you for about 30 gold. All the items, the 2 silver mirrors, and throws a lantern and 2 vials of oil in with that, and jots it all down. It seems like he's already got a heading in his ledger for you all. Or for each of you, individuals. Like you see your name in the ledger when he opens it up.
Then I think Lokag will just thank the shopkeeper and head out and just look for the party, look for any opportunities to help out around the town square.
Okay. There's an endless amount of work being done, just about. Bartobel there's some large mechanism he's trying to get righted, and he needs 2 people, so that's one of the first things. All the barricades are being worked on. Most of that's fine, but occasionally there's an armload of planking that someone's cleaned up from a broken stall or booth or wagon, and someone needs maybe it brought over to another side of the square. Someone has you move the barrier aside, so Pell and some of the other wharf rats can, slip out to the next alley, see if there's people that they can grab, see if there's any other resources, see what they can find. It seems like they do this maybe a couple times a day if it's calm enough. But the whole square pretty much gets involved, and anybody that can carry a weapon is paying attention to that area. But it's not very orderly. There's lots of things for each of you to step in on. Any sort of watchfulness or military, how they have their watches set, where people are positioned. These are not fighters. They're not military people. They're not even hunters. These are city folk. So that's help they need. Bartobel needs help getting the power bellows put back together for the outdoor forge. Let's see. Bartobel is sending most of his stock in all his alcohols over to the Mistfield Square to make room in his tavern, because the tavern and the inn are both being turned into basically the apartments. That's where most of the available rooms are. Wagons that are sort of circled around the fountain. A lot of them are being moved and repositioned as better barricades, like moving barricades for the different avenues in and out. So there is a whole lot of stuff to be done. Let's see here. Yeah. Probably just as Lokag is coming out of the armory out of Mildren's down to the travel outfitters is about the time Cliff is coming up and sort of, scrutinizing some gear through the window as he moves up toward. You probably see him about the time you're coming out of the outfitter, laden with your new gear, a new satchel over your arm, full of stuff to share with the party, and likely just about that time, Cliff is probably coming out with that crossbow. Let's see here.
He's making the rounds,
Yeah.
trying to find whatever resources he can bring together, and he's milking the war veteran. I've been through a lot. I'm still hurting, but at least I can help out. So he brings the bow back. He'll deliver that back to the woman who gave it to him to use. It's a little big for me to carry around. We're going through a lot of tight tunnels, so I don't know. It got a little awkward there, and I don't want to mess up this beautiful thing. So, and he returns that.
That was to the woman that was to the south that was selling archery gear, or was that the dwarven woman to the north? I didn't make a note of that.
I think it was the north. I thought it was there was someone arms and armor.
Okay,
Arms
yeah.
and armor Argan.
Yeah, so
she
the
was the one
dwarven
who
woman
gave it.
Gila, she's actually in Mildren's shop with you. She's helping him reorganize and stuff like that. And they're getting some tables set up out front because people are, Barty Bell's making stuff. People are bringing stuff in, and she's moved all her wares to out front of Mildren's. Oh, look at you,
Yeah.
returned now. My bow no worse for wear.
Oh, it served me
It's just-
fine. Thank you kindly.
It's been well tested then.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
I took out a few of those hobs. I found one of their the light crossbow here. I upgraded. They had one of these big ones. So yeah, you can take this and give it to the needy, and he gives the light crossbow that he picked up. Gives that away.
Oh, well, that'll be nice to put this in one of the, one of the hands, maybe one of the wharf rats. Be good to have. It'd be smart to have a good battery of archers, as they say in the old storybooks.
Yeah, what do we got going on? We got some scouts. We got people keeping watch over the walls. What's been going on while we've been spelunking down there?
Well, Pell and his wharf rats came in, and they brought the first bit of new blood and sort of ready, hot blood, we'll say, ready to fight, sort of attitude. Not so many of us have, although I certainly have it, and so does Master Baba Brune. Although I'm quite a bit younger than Baba Brune. But I figure I know weapons better than I know how to use them, so I'd still be here. But, yeah, Ragna's still covering the western side. She points over here. Looks like Larud and Phaleth over across the way. To the south, mostly we've got some shields, clubs, some axes, a good amount of swords, mostly spears, most common, easy to make. Easy to repair when they break. So that's mostly what we got. The defenders, well, it's what you see. She kind of points out to the various areas, and just sort of looking around the square, you can see where there's people clustered up at the different alleys or avenues in and out. But that's it. We don't have anyone on the rooftops. Not enough bows and arrows to go around. Well, not enough people who know how to use the bows and arrows going around. But
Well, maybe that's what's got to change. Maybe I could offer the young ones a few tips. We can get a little archery range going. We'll set up a little target, and
I think
have some
that's a
fun with
lovely
that.
idea.
yeah, why not? We'll give the young people something to do, take their mind off it, hone their skills, and at some point we'll get some people up on that roof, and we'll get a look and see if there's anything coming out there. Because yeah, we don't know when they're gonna hit next.
Well, I think that's an excellent idea. Quintara might be able to help with that too. She was selling the archery gear day before yesterday, before everything happened. She kind of points over toward the archery tent and points down toward the south end of the square, where another.
I'll make a point of heading over there and talk to them. I really should talk to my friends and catch up with them. I don't know if that Helena's going to get in trouble with that chest. I just know it. And then he'll wander by, and I imagine he'll run to the Locag or whoever else.
Okay. As you mentioned Helena and the chess set, she just sort of purses her lips and cocks her head as if to say, I'm not going to ask. So, Millie, you, after handing off the basket, saving enough for Locag while making sure everyone else got to eat. And he might mention something about Mildred telling you to come by and get re-equipped, that sort of thing. What else might Millie be doing? Is there anything else that she wanted to work on? Ask about, build, find out?
Not a whole lot. I think she's going to head back towards the apothecary, the alchemists, and just check in there.
Okay.
Having been the first person who went through there and got all of our potions the first time. Just kind of see what if there's anything we should be looking for, any status on the next round of potions.
Okay. Let's see here. They have 2 regular healing potions.
2 greater?
Regular.
Okay. That's what I thought I heard.
Yeah, and she says they can distill those. They're brewing some more, and if you all prefer, they can distill them down into a more potent, i.e., a greater healing. But it would take another day to finish what they got and distill them down.
Quantity might be more useful at this point to us than maybe the next batch.
It seems wise, says the much more talkative Elneth. Well,
do you all need anything?
Oh, no, sorry. The much more talkative Cyril. Well, let's see here. Now, there's a few different things that healing potions can be brewed out of. We spoke a little bit with you about it. There's a golden nettle and angel's trumpet that we grow out in the garden. Well, some of that got trampled when we were all attacked, and we're using the last bit of it, but there is something called sorrow moss and something called grave mold that grow in different places in the city. Obviously, they'll grow near graveyards, but it's not the graves themselves, it's the old stone there. It has a certain porousness, I think. Anyway, but the same stone is used down in the sewers, and these 2 are known to grow down in the sewers. It takes about 2 ounces of it dried to make a healing potion. So the more of those you can get, that'll replace the lost nettle and trumpet. So that sorrow moss and grave nettle would be very, very, very handy.
Very well. We do have these ooze slime residues.
Do you?
Certain what you can do with them, but
Well, they're good in making anti-venoms. They could be sovereign against certain agues and fevers. It's now, depending on the slime, and depending on how much time we have, it's said, and I've got some an old treatise that speaks on it. I never needed to use it. The Magister's Guild always took care of the slimes when they got out of hand down there. But it said that they could take some reagent from their bodies and produce a sort of venom, a poison, that worked against the slimes. So I may be able to do that.
I was just hoping for that'd be great. That or some way to persuade them not to come near us would also be beneficial.
That's a tough one. They eat almost anything organic. There's not much that they can't dissolve. There's certain
Noticed.
chemicals, though, lye and alum, has to be mixed right with vinegar and baked off, repowdered. But once that's done, it puts off a certain scent that they seem to dislike, and it can dry them up like a slug. But it's expensive to produce a lot of it, so people would just sort of trickle it about, their jakes or their outhouse to keep it slime free. But produce enough to actually dry a slime out, well, you'd have to talk to the arcanists up at the guild if they were still around. But sorry, this is a lot to get used to, she says.
That it is. Thank you. These will be most helpful.
Hi, Emilian. Thank you. We know you're all doing your best, and we appreciate it. No charge for those potions. I've got an extra one I held back for the square itself, for the apothecary, or for the infirmary now. But seems that you took care of Master Tallwath, did you?
Yep.
No potions, just...
I can apparently just heal people a little bit.
Why,
with
Millie,
my
that's
hands.
wonderful. That's not surprising at all.
It's kind of surprising, but
Maybe. It seems like you always looked after those who couldn't look after themselves, and you're one for the community. You're one of Bridget's own. A lot of folks have always thought. Daughter of the city. It's fitting that the Danan speak through you. She her voice kind of chokes up actually as she's talking, and yeah, she tries a couple of times to like regain her voice, and does that thing where she kind of waves her hand to like give me a second, and, but it takes her more than a few seconds to sort of... It doesn't look like she's gonna get it back together. It looks like she needs to go off and lose her mind for a moment, kind of see everything sort of crashing in on her.
well, gonna be probably off soon again to go
So soon then?
soon. I assume so.
Okay,
There's
well,
business to be done there. People to find.
well, we'll get this next batch out then as quick as we can. You're gonna at least take a decent rest, aren't you? It's gonna be night in a couple of hours.
Probably sleep first, but then I don't know. Gotta see what the rest want to do.
That's fair. Well,
Is there any? Do you make those bottled fires?
not usually, she says, drawing the words out. She cocks her head to the side. But I'd be
If
a
you have
poor
any-
alchemist if I didn't know how.
I was kind of hoping you had like a iron box of them that was forgotten about, but that could be useful.
It's not iron, it's a wooden box. It's not forgotten about. She grins. I have a few.
Dangerous keeping fire in a fire box, but all right.
Well, they're sealed by the wax itself, and as long as it doesn't get jostled, it should be fine. The basement's stone. Perhaps it's foolish. But we do have a few. 3, I think. If I recall, I have to go look.
One would probably benefit us, but the square might need them soon.
I hadn't thought of that. Are you sure? It seems a dangerous weapon to employ inside the city. Some of the houses are wood. But I'm not one to argue with the heroes of the square. It'll be a few. I'll go find them. And yeah, she does that. Just that. She's gone about 10 minutes, and either comes and finds you, whether it's outside or still inside of her shop. It was 3, like I said. They are very dangerous. They continue burning. Water won't put them out. Little aside from magic will put them out. But a good amount of baking soda will actually do it. Be careful with them.
We'll warn the bakers. Thank you.
As you open it up, they're all sort of stuffed in rags so they don't jostle up against each other. But you can feel the heat from them as soon as you open it. Or warmth, rather.
I'll leave them in their box, but I'll take them out into the square and look for my colleagues, my daring friends.
Looks like you're seeing people congregating on the eastern side of the square, in between, right around the infirmary and Mildred's Arms and Armor. Because you might be seeing Helena try on some new gear. So Helena, food. At some point, Millie comes by with a basket of food, and oh yeah, yes, that's right. So you maybe still have some of the food that you were, or perhaps you're still playing chess. Word comes to you while you're eating, maybe still playing chess. Someone whispers that Mildred has suggested you come over and look through his gear and his wares and get some better equipment if you need. Oh yeah, Pon, you are muted, by the way.
Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did say some stuff. That was the plan, but I wanted to sell that chess set. But he did say we could get him back later, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Helena overheard that, but that was her plan. Was I'm going to sell this chess set and then go buy myself some armor. So I don't know if that messes things up because we're supposed to meet later.
No, that's fine. Either way, because you can do it in whichever order. You can because Mildred, like I said, word comes out that he just wants you to come pick out some new gear, and it sounds like he's not. It sounds like it's free, from Helena's perspective.
Well, she definitely would come check that out.
So as you saunter your way into Mildred's, the dark and fine wood carving of the interior of his shop, arrayed and festooned with weapons and armor, the smell of leather and metal oil thick on everything. His own cologne, sort of a thin scent under everything else. Out front, there is the dwarven woman. She was one of the merchants. Helena probably didn't pay too much attention to her. Is got some weapons and armor out front. Mostly a lot of hand weapons, maybe throwing weapons, but also some, a bow, a crossbow, axes, and a couple of axes and a hammer. And then, of course, Mildred has several pieces of gear inside, a bunch of stuff. There's a table inside his booth that wasn't there before. You can see what looks like a palace guard's chainmail and spears and glaive, all in there. Well, welcome back, Helena, says Mildred. Made friends, I see, he says.
Easy to do when you're a hero.
Well, I meant the other heroes, he says, nodding
Yeah.
through the window.
I know. Heroes like to find each other. That's what I meant.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you found each other. And it's good to see, he says, sort of fumbling for words.
I hear you have some armor for me.
I do. If it's what you need, then it's for you. Everything on the table over there, all of that is free. That is stuff that good souls have brought in from the streets, reclaimed from man-at-arms and town city guards. So there's no charge for any of that. And as for anything else in the store, if you don't have funds for it now, we could just put it down in the ledger, and if all of this madness ever passes, you could pay me then.
That's so generous. I don't trust it.
It's not generous. It's accepting things how they are. The people who can buy my wares right now may not have the money, and that's all second to us getting through this and surviving. So I figure if we put it down in the ledger, and if we don't make it through this, then it doesn't matter. And if we do, you will be the heroes of Erebel, and you should easily be able to pay me back. So
I think I actually like the way you think. That is hard for me to argue with. Well, do you what kind of armor would
Thank
she
you.
what is she, like is she light or medium? I'm not super familiar with rangers.
that's okay. I tend to look more at their dexterity and stuff like that.
Okay.
But you, as a ranger, can use medium armor and shields. So
Yeah.
you can use a chain shirt, and some things like that. There's, but if you wanted to stay with light armor, then there's some effectively studded leather. It's, leather with overlapping plates of metal here and there on it.
Does
Over the vital
medium
organs.
armor lower any of my scores or anything? Like, is there
A lot of
is there
medium
dog-
armor gives you disadvantage on stealth checks, but not all of it does.
Yeah, that's why everyone's going to breastplate, because it's like the highest you can get before that stealth check
Right.
disadvantage begins.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's really interesting. I kind of like that strategy, and I imagine she probably observed some of her comrades doing the same and not having much understanding of that sort of way of moving through the world. I think she's going to look at her new fondly found comrades and ratlings, and I think kind of secretly want to match them a little bit too. So is there anything like that?
So, as far as what you see, you don't see any other breastplates except for the suit of very ornate half-plate armor in the window. It's all individual pieces that come together to make the suit of armor. You might be able to talk Mildred out of the breastplate itself.
Very ornate, you say.
Very ornate.
Would it match my hat?
How so?
Well, her hat is very ornate, very demure.
Sure. I think it would go good together. The armor is sort of dusky. It's not quite blued, but browned. The steel is, and there's designs, really fine designs that are lacquered over every inch of the breastplate every piece of the half plate armor. I mean, it looks like some of. I wish I had a picture I could pop up, and I don't want to spend time searching for it. But there's some late period armor, the armor of Maximilian, some of one of the Henry's really excellent armors that are extremely ornate, and just there's like layers of decoration layered over it. And from a distance, it sort of looks like wine colored or brown. But once you're up close, you can see all the detail and like just filigree and scroll work.
That sounds incredible and irresistible to Helena. I think it would embolden her, in a secret stat that was like sense of heroism and self +2.
Yeah, yeah. And it, let's see here. It does have the crowd, the crown, cloud, and tower, which is like the sigil of Arabelle.
Oh my gosh.
It's a tower with a crown sort of at the base, and clouds wreathe the top of it.
She's proud of her home. She feels like the whole town is her house,
Yeah.
Okay, so she starts to eyeball that. She's like, wow, anyone interested in this marvelous breastplate?
Many people have been interested in that piece. I've had it for about 4 years. But unfortunately, most people that have been able to afford it have their own smithies, and the travelers that come in, even the richer nobles, aren't looking to buy a gift for their man or woman at arms. So unfortunately, it's more just a showpiece that's drawn people in. I could give you a pretty sizable discount if you were interested in taking it off my hands.
What are you thinking?
Well, something like that can go upwards of 1,200 gold crowns. But if you're interested in the suit, you could owe me 650.
Helena makes a haughty face, like, ha, that's nothing. It's child's play. I'll have that in no time. Well, I would honor it. Shouldn't say any of those things. But she does say, I would honor it. And I am perhaps the best suited to wear such a piece. I, too, have only been gazed upon, only to be looked over for 4 years straight. So I think we're meant for each other.
He almost pulls back a little bit as if struck. And his lips sort of pressed together in a hard line. Yes, Helena, I can see that you've been through many hardships that you didn't deserve. And it reminds me of how unfair life can be.
Yes, and then this breastplate will not only protect me from monsters, but from that stereotype as well.
His jaw sort of juts out, almost proudly. He says, yes, I think I would be honored, Helena, for you to wear that. I'm sorry, did you say just the breastplate? He seems suddenly confused now.
That was the initial idea. I could always come back for the rest, piece by piece. She takes a sip of some of the food she had, obnoxiously.
He kind of sits there for a moment with his mouth open, as if trying to figure out what to say. Well, to separate it doesn't seem right. But it's going to be protecting you, and you know best. I could store the rest of it, or perhaps you could take it and spread the armor pieces among your allies. It might be able to bolster their defenses somewhat.
Oh, I like that. It could be our official rattling bonding armor.
Wow. That would be rather an honor, I think, as well. An additional honor. I think it'd be good for this armor to be seen, for it to have some purpose. Do you need help
You can
into
take
it?
the other.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just
GM.
gonna say, Helena can take the other pieces and just wear it when she's trying to impress people. No,
Yeah,
wear it as a breastplate in combat, and then wear it in full when you come back to town.
I love that. I love that. Uh-huh. I could just see her barely being able to walk in it, clang, clang, clang. Not being used to that at all.
So he offers to help you into the breastplate. He kind of, moves over toward it and starts showing you how to take he starts unbuckling it, taking it off the dummy, and one by one taking the pieces and setting them down on the floor, or not on the floor, on the table to like sort of gather everything together. But he starts kind of showing you how to go through it. And Helena has another singular experience. And after, being in the market square for years, never so much as, not most of the time, not really being allowed inside the shops. Now, not only is she in Mildred's shop getting the finest of his wares, Mildred himself is fitting Helena into the finest armor that probably anyone in the square has ever seen.
Oh man, Elena, I'm so happy for
Yeah, and the older man is, there's a slow stateliness to his motions that are almost ritualistic, and anyone who is paying attention can see a small tear in the old man's eye as Mildred dresses the rat lady in fine armor. It's from this merchant, it's almost a benediction of sorts, perhaps. And I think this is a good spot to pause for a few minutes, take a short break. How's that sound to everybody?
to me.
Yeah?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Her dad. Okay, cool. Let's take let's take 10. Look, 7K up on the potion challenge. All right. Oh, cheating. My players are cheating at me. Oh, this is great. I love it.
DMs always get the ultimate cheat code, though, right? This happens. Why does that happen? Because I said it happened. Done.
Man, I try not to do that. If I do that, I try to make it like verisimilitude. Like it's like, if I do that, it's some other reason. If all I can come up with is because I said so, I'm like, that's not a good enough reason.
No, I know. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if they buy us too many potions, you could be like, huh, a couple of those potion bottles broke.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah,
guess that's just the way it is.
Well, I think there's a reason why I tend to set up campaigns and stories like this, where it's like they're building potions, they're low on resources. It's like you're only going to get a few at a time. Oh no. Elena's got strange growths coming out of her head on screen now. And we've achieved maximum pon for the stream.
I mean, you can always just throw more creatures at us, right?
True.
Here's an extra potion. Okay, here's 3 extra monsters.
Is the stream get weird on live to you all? Because Lokag's whole panel disappeared for me.
Yeah, it vanished.
What in the heck? I'm glad we're on break. All right, give me a minute. I'm gonna tinker around with that. That's weird. It's weird, and I don't like it.
It is weird. I also don't like it.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Chat buys potion, Lokag out of party. Man, I was just kidding about that, DM. You didn't have to kick the guy out.
We don't deal with that here, okay?
So those
Don't have
cheating
change.
consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. He rolled a 40 on a stealth roll.
If the shop, what was the shopkeeper's name I was just with?
Mildred.
Mildred. If Mildred was, say, Helena's dad, my very first question would be, what's his excuse?
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely.
That's gotta be one hell of a backstory, man.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, obviously, if this is the case and he's doing this now, there's some kind of full circle moment, but he still can't reveal it. You know, like he's under oath, or some spies have gotten to him. He's part of some government association. I don't know. A lot to this man.
It would have to be something like that. He doesn't seem like the person. He seems to be too soft-hearted to do it out of own, even if it was pride. You know.
Right. Exactly. And he's obviously like one of the nicest people Helena's ever met.
Yeah.
She'd probably feel that way about anybody that was giving her that kind of attention in the moment.
Maybe, but maybe
In
not.
contention by the anti-rat arable unions.
All right, I'm gonna switch screens and see if that fixes it, because it is just no. It's this scene that is super bizarre. Like, I think maybe OBS is crapping the bed, because Lokag, you're not even on here. Maybe he turned his cam off for a moment. That's what I'm guessing. Yeah, and there's that.
Yeah, his frame's back. He's just got his camera off.
Okay, cool. All right, well, yeah, I'm not sure what happened to that frame, but that's a problem for between sessions. So I'm going to step away for just a few moments. Let's see here. Yeah. Leave a little music. Yeah, I'm going to step away for just a few moments, grab some water and a snack, and I'll be right back.
I have songs stuck in my head right now. I don't know if
I do
anyone,
enjoy.
I was gonna say, I don't know if anyone else would know Glass Animals, but I saw them last Tuesday. That was pretty awesome. So I just have the music stuck in my head.
I do enjoy that our ranger has the highest medium armor.
Yeah, man. I guess I didn't realize this about Helena, but she apparently really likes very shiny things.
Just like
How many
rats.
rangers? Do we have 3 rangers?
2.
2, okay. There were 3 for some reason.
Because Helena's a ranger, Cliff's a ranger, but X is rogue cleric.
And Lokag is full barb?
Yep.
What subclass did you get?
He went
I
the
did.
totem.
Yeah.
Ah,
Got the totem.
nice.
He writes back.
Psychic.
I went Oath of the Harvest, but I just found something that might make even more sense to what we've just been doing. Called Oath of the Undying Flame. Some of the Grim Hollow stuff. I was like, well, that's gotta, Alina will love the mirrors. But I guess that really depends. Like I went Oath of the Harvest because it gives some good additive healing. Since we don't really have, we kind of have like a lot of sporadic healing, but not really focused healing in the party right now.
Yeah. X is going to be mostly just using his spells for Bless. Try to keep Bless up as many combats as he can.
That's kind of why I figured, being a strange support paladin. It's kind of her deal, Millie's deal.
Step 1, stand in front of the enemy. Step 2,
Yeah.
profit.
Step 1, get plate armor. 2, never stealth again. I'm waiting. I'm holding out for that mithril plate.
There's also a tattoo that you can get.
Yes.
Barrier tattoo.
Not barrier. Not barrier. I don't think it's barrier. I don't know. I should know off the top of my head because it's what my rogue ranger has on the Thursday game. The very rare edition.
Back.
I have +1 studded, which is the best I can pull off probably at this level. But eventually, it would be cool to get some kind of mithril half plate
right,
or something, and we get. But we're not there.
Nope.
Yeah, I was thinking about that armor and the unarmored defense for Lokag, and I was like, you know what? If I can get a breastplate, that's so much better than unarmored defense. It's even just an extra 2 on your AC can make the difference.
What's
Yeah,
your
for
con?
sure.
Your con is low. Lokag has low con.
No, he's got a +2 on con and a +2 on dexterity.
Okay.
So I mean, his AC was 14. Yep. So, but yeah, when I pulled out the breastplate, it gives me an extra.
Yeah.
Yep. So my goal is usually to try and keep it above 15. I feel like that's a good place to be for AC.
Yeah, I like the shield just to get 17 out of it. Eventually, we'll get some +1s.
Oh.
We'll get some magic armors, cloaks, rings.
Are those new boots that Lokag has? Those don't give him any advantages on the stealth check, like the padded that X threw together for him.
Yeah, we'll say they work the same way.
Okay. Awesome.
It definitely could use some boots too. If there's anything you can kit for Cliff, he definitely could use some boots or something like that.
What's that for Cliff?
Oh, I was just saying he could use some sneaky boots too. Waterproof boots. Pretty useful. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Galoshes.
Yeah, they'll definitely have those. Oiled leather, the seams sealed with wax thread. And will come with a portion of waterproofing wax so you can reapply it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so now that we are a little bit more established and such like that, I'm gonna alter a couple of things. So the stealth, boots giving you a bonus to stealth. We'll say they can give you that +2, but while wearing them for the purposes of leaping and such like that, you'll get a -2 to your athletics because lack of tread or traction.
All right.
It's just for balance, balance the thing out.
Makes sense.
Looks like DL's looking at the barrier tattoo. start.
Oh no, we were talking about that for Millie.
Oh, okay, yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna be sad to lose my stealth just to have good AC
Right.
as a paladin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I could see workarounds for that for sure.
I mean, it's that mithril, mithril armors.
Mm-hmm. Or something heavily enchanted to have the same properties. You are certain that there's all sorts of very fine materials. All of the loot that is in Arabelle is slowly going, or quickly going into the stone. So any rare materials that you could find, you'll probably be able to find somewhere in there. Once you all figure out sort of how they supply and where everything moves and where things are held and stuff in there. So that's one thing. The other thing is, you have you have Bridget's Flame with you, which can help you all in a few different ways. One, simply crafting items. Another one, on any checks involving architecture, making, building, crafting, growing. So like any of your crafting potions, your blacksmithing checks, any of that stuff, if Bridget's Flame is used, can help with that. And if making magical items, it can radically reduce the time and gold piece cost for crafting items. But any enchantment of like a breastplate or a sword will take at least a day to accomplish. And if it's already got an enchant on it and you're laying more enchants, then it'll probably it'll take to like increase or improve a magical item will take at least 3 days.
Okay.
So it is sort of easier to plan it all and make it all off the bat. But then again, if it's a really powerful, you're trying to make a +3 sword, that's going to take its own number of days on top of that. So for like a +1 weapon, takes at least 1 day. To a +3 or a +2 weapon would take at least 3 days, and a +2 weapon would take at least a week, and that's with Bridget's Flame. Teamwork and inspired materials, either made up by you or and convincing the GM of it, or found in game, can also reduce like the time and gold piece cost of enchanting items. Because I don't try to make an absolutely blocked out crafting system. There's a lot of really awesome video games for that. I don't do that very well. I do the vague and evocative really well when it comes to like taking a tip from, I love that phrase from Dale Kingsmill. Yeah, because we each have a different idea of what the perfect blacksmith recipe looks like in the perfect fantasy film, or what the witch brewing a potion, what she's putting in there, and I'll have a whole framework set up for the campaign, but as far as all of the especially all of like the hair and skin and all the stuff like that, is what the players come up with kind of supersedes what I have. You all have something you want to work into the story. Well, try to make that come first,
Also, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. So, okay. I did step away for a second. That is just so weird. I bet whenever I close OBS and open it back up, that border will be back. So. What, the Paladin of the Undying Flame? What is this from? Interesting.
That is Grim Hollow's Raider's Guide to Valaki.
Interesting. I'll
There.
check that out more.
Yeah, that's kind of like their more Norse, Viking style one that they've been working on.
That's pretty cool.
That was like interesting. Doesn't give all the healing the other one does, so probably not going to change because we kind of need the health.
Yeah, I mean, y'all are outmatched and outgunned and surrounded, essentially. You know.
Just another Monday.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, any help you all can get all off the bat. So coming together, you all are probably just outside or nearby Mildred's as Helena's getting geared up. And yeah, you all likely started to talk, and questions are being asked about what you all's next move is, about what you saw. A lot of people want to know. Bear, the bard, is following you around, trying to get as much information as possible, making small notes, occasionally strumming and trying to find the right chord on a lute, or blow and hit the right note on her flute or zither. Already writing something, you're sure. But yeah, you're asked a few times, probably each individually, before you're even together. You know, Papa Brune likely asks Lokag when he's down there, what do you think your next move is? And likely when one of you are in Mildred's, perhaps, Helena gets asked by Mildred, what do you think you will be doing next? Millie might be asked, over at the apothecary by Elnith, in her sort of monotone, so what's next? And so those questions come together once you're all together. Obviously, sleep might be in order, or more sleep, as at this point, probably about 2 hours or so have passed in the square, and it's getting closer toward dark. A time when you're almost certain that the goblins will increase their activity. And you know that each day that passes, the situation will develop. Now that you've seen that they have, or heard that they have magic users and priests and priestesses and bugbears and hobgoblins, you expect to see them at some point take part in the invasion. But perhaps they're waiting for something. Perhaps it's the cursing of Arabelle's relics that they're waiting for before the hobgoblins reach the streets en masse. Perhaps it's this evening. The bugbears, from what the myths tell you, could already be out in the city, sort of hiding, lazily finding their way along hidden paths and positioning themselves to make easy kills once night falls. So, what is, let's start with X. What are his thoughts on what's next?
We must rescue prisoners. He's kind of obsessed with the idea of saving people and also, balancing the scales. He's been charged to just shepherd as many goblin souls as he can to the other side, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So X is pretty much just beelined on saving people and filling the afterlife with goblin souls.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you're thinking about your next move back toward the stone, perhaps, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Back toward the stone.
All right. What's Millie thinking about as you all are kind of coming together, talking about your ideas?
I think for Millie, there's two things on the mind. One is this aerial attack that has been mentioned, seen, predetermined, but she doesn't really see how we prepare for that any more than we have kind of already gotten people here and set up stalls and stuff. But then, yeah, saving people is the number one. Getting these people who we said we're going to get out of here is the number one task in her mind.
All right. Yeah.
Stone overhangs in front. X will draw like a little picture of the front of a building, and then instead of an awning, it's like a stone structure above to provide cover.
You know any masons?
X just shrugs. Don't know.
It's a good idea. Maybe we'll just take it to Baba, see if he knows anyone who can make it happen.
Well, Baba would say that all dwarves are at least passable masons, and then he kind of pauses and says, or perhaps that's a what's the word? Generalization. But still, I think Bardubel knows how to use all manner of hammers. What the hell?
Let's go ask him, I suppose.
So I think I just saw a wasp in my studio.
Bring that for a good sign.
No, it just flew away, so I'll just pay attention. If any of my viewers, our viewers see it land on me, just go ahead and tell me in chat.
No,
I'm sure you'll see that in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No people crying lost.
So speaking to Bardabel, he says he can think of a few ideas, although he knows metal better. But he says maybe people have some like flagstones or some old stone foundations in their garden that we can cut off of, and get some smallish stone panels and maybe bracket them together with iron. He kind of starts sketching out some ideas and charcoal on the side of his anvil. So you're thinking of this for protect the sort of wood faces of the buildings and protect the a bit of cover from above.
Mostly cover from above. We have seen that the goblins like to get in the high places and attack from there.
We could always get a few shooters up higher than them.
That might be difficult when the time comes. But I like that idea.
True.
Perhaps get high places with cover.
Some of the buildings, we've got two that are almost, if you count the attic, it's a third story. Decent high up. It might at least get some people on watch up there. Watch out for goblins scrambling over the rooftops and like. Unless you mean that the goblins are going to be coming in from higher up. He sort of gestures one hand above the other.
It's possible.
He gives you a flat look and okay then. No more
Shrug.
questions for me. But I'll pass the idea around and see what else we might come up with. I figure we might get some iron shielded panels to replace the tint awnings. Maybe use those, put them on some of the flattened rooftops. We've got some sheet metals, but hammering anything really big out would take some time and a few
Could
extra
you
forge
connect a
hands.
bunch of shields together? Shield
Could like.
wall.
Be ashamed to waste steel that good on it, though. I'd say, something a little rougher, backed with maybe iron and stone in there, should do as good a job. Dan and Nove has enough stone rubble lying around. Maybe we can get the wharf rats next time they open. Try and take some of the hand carts out, guarded, and get us some rock. Bring us back and crush that down pretty quick. Make some crete. Make some quickstone, as they call it.
You're the professional in these areas. We'll leave you to it, and I faith in your abilities to do this.
Well, if old Raven is still alive down at the docks, he did most of the stonework at the docks. Kept him from burning down with that, big conflagration happened 10 years on. Been working down there ever since, Robin has. Don't know who's alive down there, but if he is, well, he could help turn this place into a fortress. But I'll do my poor best, says Bardabel. What about Helena? What are her thoughts on what's next?
Just one thing. We might have to work out the details later, but we were talking in private chat that we were talking about, since Rangers get the Goodberry cantrip, a cantrip or a spell?
It's a spell.
First level spell.
Regardless, talking about replacing it with cheeses instead. I don't know if that's something I can do right this minute, but I wanted to bring it into attention. I don't want that to be lost.
I think that's I don't know if I should use the word reasonable, but yeah, I think that could totally work. Tiny bits of cheese upon summons from her pocket, I'm expecting. So, Elena's pocket cheese. Complete with pocket lint.
I just had to take a deep breath there.
Cheese berries. Thank you, Jar Jar.
So she's fitted, right, for her armor?
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do for my character sheet? Do I just bring over medium armor?
Add breastplate. Look up a
Breastplate.
breastplate.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Breastplate. Okay, and everyone else, I suppose I'd be feeling pretty good, wanting to kind of maybe see where everybody else is at. But also I'm kind of waiting for that, that dinner where she's hoping to get maybe at least some booze. But yeah, it's not, time hasn't really progressed, so I'm assuming all that much.
Not too much. I mean, like I said, overall it's been about two hours and 2.5 hours since you all got back to the square, and you're just now finishing up getting your armor put on.
Do I have to take off the leather armor because I've got this thing on my sheet that says? Okay.
Yeah, or just you might as well just or unclick it. There's a little click on to unequip it on the left, and then over on the right you can drop the weight to 0 for the moment. Since you're not wearing it, you can leave it behind in the square. You can just delete it off if you're never going to use it again. It is up to you.
You're never going to use it again. Give it to the poor and the needy children.
She would. She absolutely would.
Give it to the street rats.
The next Helena is going to need this. So, yeah, I'll do that.
Awesome. This, yeah, because I think that's stuff you got from Mildred initially. As you sort of turn it back into him, he looks down at it somewhat sadly, after he's gotten you into the breastplate and the rest of it and he shows you how to quickly take off the arms and the legs, so that you can, wear it dramatically and then, cut weight for combat or when you go out into the stone or whatever. But if someone else wanted to wear parts, it could alter their armor class a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, he looks down, a deep sigh. Well, nothing lasts forever, and it saved your life. He holds up the leather armor. There's some slashes cut into it. Multiple rivets are popped. It's kind of hanging together. Even just the coat part of it is is barely in one piece. But I think some stitches and some rivets, and it'll be serviceable for whoever might need it. But it won't look as good as it did when you wore it.
Of course it won't.
Oh, he chuckles. I didn't even mean to. That's funny, he says, sort of subsiding.
Well, I thank you for your generosity today, and I assure you I will be back to pay you for this fine piece of armor that will live on with me in honor.
I have absolute faith that you'll do so, Helena.
Wow, that's a first.
He might seem like he is almost sort of surprised to believe it, at least to anybody who's really discerning, but he tries to sound it just straight and even to you, so it doesn't sound like he's putting it on any sort of airs. Anybody else watching from the outside, he sees him sort of watch Helena as she steps out through the door and sort of look down for a split second and just sort of shake his head and turn back over toward Gila and start just talking to her about something that's kind of hard to hear through the thick window. So, Cliff, did we lose you? Are you still with us? He stepped away for a moment. All right. So, Lokag, what are your thoughts about what next?
Oh, I'm here. I am here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Clifford, what are your thoughts about what's next?
Well, I want to take care of training the population, doing a little Seven Samurai and doing my best to at least train and kind of plan a defense in terms of like scouting, having people doing rounds, doing his best to sort of keep an eye out for things. And I think that's Cliff's main focus right now is just do what he can to share what he knows to the younger folk.
Okay.
And prepare for anything further attacks. He also really wants to get back and see if he can retrieve what was stolen by the hag at some point. He knows that's going to take a lot of time and planning, but he's very much like that's his white whale, is to get in there and try to recover the lost the glorious inventions of so that's a big motivation for him.
Okay.
And try to understand a little bit more about what's driving them, the masters, and how they all work. I think he's going to want to try to get some insights on that.
Okay. So, Cliff, as you set out to, gather some of the new defenders, the villagers together, and start to run them over how to use bow, crossbow, and things like that, and figure out, start finding good places around the square to station different sentries and guards and such. So make an insight check.
All right.
Yeah, as a disparate folk sort of cobbled together. Most people that have the tendencies or the skills toward a job that deals with violence have likely already gone toward it, and you're left with the rest. Some of the best you've got a couple of town guards. Some of the wharf rats are
yeah, focus on the rats.
Yeah, there's a couple of pugilists among them.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's good to know in case they got to face somebody who comes at them.
Yeah, there's a couple that like to scrap, and all of the rest of them, they've all been in fights, you know. So that's sort of your best cluster of people. You got a couple. You got two guards. You got the elven archer, she was a merchant selling stuff, but now she's one of the square guards. Her and so those are your sort of, aside from your party,
All right. Well,
that's the most useful ones you got.
I got a 23 on the insight,
Yeah.
so I might be able to have a pretty good sense of what they'd be good at. You know, keep the pugilists, kind of defending the walls or the entrances, and have the ones that can shoot. Try to get them on the roofs, maybe in that attic. Coordinated defense.
Okay.
Target practice required. An hour a day for everyone who wants to be involved in the militia. I'll get a routine for them. We'll have workouts in the morning, 6 a.m.
Go ahead, Helena.
Helena would love to help volunteer to train the little ratlings.
Awesome.
A suggestion by Jar Jar also, in archery specifically.
Okay.
I liked it. It was good.
And guerrilla tactics. I'll teach them all about like hit and run, guerrilla tactics, that kind of thing. Staying out of sight.
Okay. So you pretty quickly, assess that as far as most of the people here, it's going to be, it's going to be a while before they're good archers. You can pretty quickly teach them the basic stuff, how not to shoot their ally, how to knock the arrow, how to properly draw without wearing your body out. You teach them the absolute basics, and you can drill them, and do target practice. And beyond that, show them how to care for it and such like that. But with especially with Helena, and Quintara's help, they can pretty much train the archery aspect, and that leaves Cliff. You can kind of, leaves you free to, get them to show you around the roofs, and so you can get the lay of the land and figure out where is the best position to put Overwatch, and then actual like blockers, people who are ready to fight. Maybe position some on the roofs here or there. So
awesome.
By, within a couple of hours, you've already, the archers have kind of had a 101, and Quintara is playing the sort of second to Helena, who's teaching. And they sort of, everybody gets up in the area just north of the, let's see here. Basically this area that's kind of cleared now. And they're shooting toward the woodworking building. Boards and cutting boards and wooden trunks have been sort of blocked up over the windows so they're not broken. And you are essentially shooting at some of this stuff. There's a lot of blisters, a lot of cursing, a lot of missed shots. But at the end of that first hour, they're at least all hitting that wall around their target. They're within like 2 feet of the bullseye, which is pretty good. So I think, Helena, you could make a persuasion check
Okay.
and see how well you get the information across to them.
10.
Okay. So no changes. That's, like I said, you feel like it's going to be weeks before they're of any real count. And that's, Clifford, that's something that you always heard, and by your own experience that training with the bow is pretty hard. And you start to figure that maybe if they had crossbows, this would go a lot easier if they had crossbows. But at the very least, by that first go through, they've got the blisters, you've given them the proper drawing posture, how to care for it, how to knock the arrow, actually how to aim it, and go through all the stuff like don't dry fire it, take the string off when you're not if you don't need it to be ready to use, and all that sort of thing. And Clifford, you get
Right.
2 of the archers that are. You can get some of the wharf rats, or do you want one of the better archers up top?
I like the wharf rats. I think maybe there's one good archer that I can kind of have as like a second who can kind of keep an eye on them and help make sure that they are trained. But I'd love to sort of encourage the wharf rats because I think they'd be great at jumping around from, across the rooftops. They'll
Yeah.
understand how the goblins, and I'll try to teach them how goblins think and show them goblin fighting tactics. I think the more they know how to use those tactics, the more likely they'll be able to
Okay. Yeah.
understand them when they're used against them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
They are very interested when you talk to them about this stuff. They laugh and whistle, or just sort of react and like or just say, "Well, that's dirty fighting. That's good. We like that." So they just
yeah,
eat it
right
up.
up your alley, kid.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. There's like, and they're getting it from this older guy who's this cool shady character who's been around quite
Seen
a
some
bit,
things.
seen some things, and they can kind of just sense it on him. All right. So how about Lokak? What are his ideas about what's next in terms of the group? What is the group going to do next? Shore up the square, move off back toward the stone, or something else?
I think Lokag is very partial to moving back towards the stone, and trying to get those civilians back. So that's his 2 cents, but he's he sees the party getting stronger and feels like we could take it on at this point. At least from what we've seen, we could maybe sneak a little bit better. We know where we're going more than just like stumbling around in the tower. But yeah, so that's his thoughts, is moving back towards the stone.
Okay. Trying to think if there's. Let me check to see if there's anybody else in the square who would want to be there for this conversation that would have any real insight. The dwarven guard Ragna. She, she's off for shift. She would be over around having that conversation, and the dwarven bard Bear. She's around, and she actually offers some interesting tidbits, little stuff, supporting information, reasons why a certain plan is promising. She references tales, legends, and things like that. Oh, it worked for Kukulane, it worked for Finn, it should work for us. And that sort of thing. She asks if I'm so sorry, my train of thought just derailed. Goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. But so there's a couple of other people over there that are offering some small insights as to how you might manage or what you might do, like battle tactics wise, and that sort of thing. But Bear shows enough insight, and says enough enough little tidbits that you each maybe at some point go, wow, this person's maybe pretty sharp. She seems to know a lot of random things. But she also does seem very much to be like a traveling bard in the storytelling and news sense. You haven't seen any indication of magic from this person, but not all bards do use magic. And even those who graduate from the bardic colleges, they don't have aptitudes for magic, they don't come out of the Bardic College with magic, so she may be one of those, just a non-arcanist or whatever who went to the Bardic College and didn't manage to pick up on those skills. But she definitely seems to know a lot, and she might be useful to Tab. She also, some of the subjects that you bring up, she doesn't seem to hesitate to talk about them or really show any fear. Even, which is interesting. She might be useful in some way. She might be able to do more dangerous things that other townsfolk might not be willing to do. Okay, so what else Lokak? What else are you thinking?
Honestly, that's about it for Lokag. He might bring another party member into this situation. I think I'm a little bit confused. Are you suggesting that they might be willing to go with us or set up better defenses in the square?
Yeah, it could be either of those. Like, they seem like they're brave and got a strong enough nerve. They might be able to go with you. You might be able to talk them into slipping out into the city to do other stuff. You all talked about setting up excursions out into the city. Bear might be good for that, at the very least. She seems to be gutsy. But maybe not like well trained, but she probably knows how to use a rapier and a hand axe, quarterstaff, and that sort of thing. But she seems bold, and she's charismatic. People will follow her, so that might be a useful set of skills.
Yeah, Lokag might suggest that they go and try and find other townsfolk and bring them to the square. Shore up, get the numbers up, and bring people to a safe space.
Okay. Let's see here. Sending a message. Okay. Okay, so thoughts of excursions out to get other allies. It seems like you all are agreeing that you need to go back to the stone. There's scales of life and death that need to be balanced. There's community members that need to be saved and restored. There's an enemy that needs to be learned about. There's resources and materials that you all might get. Well, certainly Bear seems interested, and she starts talking to some of the wharf rats about that, as they seem to occasionally plan and bring everyone together and try to find a good time to slip out into the city. So she promises to be an excellent distraction, also, should they need it. And soon she's wearing a shirt of chainmail and has a couple of hand axes strapped to her hip. So yeah, you all, coming together, talking, running over your plan, coming, back apart, or coming together and drifting back apart throughout the next couple of hours as, the square continues to shore up defenses. Barnabelle continues to try to organize the outside forge and repair some of what was damaged by the initial attack of the goblins.
I was wondering if I could use my lucky to try to get someone to respond to my training.
Okay, yeah. Oh, let's see here. Lucky is for. Oh yeah, that's right. You can. Right, it is. Right, this is the new Lucky that we're not the old 5th edition Lucky. So yes, you certainly can.
Okay, so what was that roll again? It was a persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really her biggest skill.
Sure.
It's not. It's actually not a skill of hers at all, apparently. Oh, even
Oh, no.
worse. Well, you know, she had to give it a try. She
Well,
thought
sure.
her breastplate would, you know, inspire them, but maybe it just makes them feel small, like they can never achieve such greatness.
Well, yeah, I think you start to figure out that it's kind of a pain in the butt. You can't just say, do it like this. They get, people get confused in all these little details that seem ridiculous to even think about. And you find yourself having to explain each portion. Like you have to break the step down into smaller steps, which at first is like probably frustratingly challenging. It's just like, how do I break down drawing the arrow back into smaller steps or whatever? And people have questions that seem to contradict each other, or they'll start to argue back and forth, and you have trouble getting them to understand that they're all saying the same thing, So yeah. I think the role kind of just represents that maybe Helena's not ever been in this spot before where she was trying to teach human beings or, other folk anything,
No, she's not used to that at all.
Yeah, I think that role's like tells I think it's perfect, you're explaining it, you're doing it, you kind of but you just have to sort of brute force them through the training, and then toward the end of it, that day, there's people complaining about shoulder tension and pain, and you're able to make it a point again. It's like, that's why you draw it this way. The elbow is out. Elbow cocks out to the side when you draw or whatever. And you start to figure out that people just have to learn. Apparently, everyone is just learning by messing up a lot until they hurt themselves and can't do it wrong anymore. I'm sure there's a better way, but it works for now.
We do need a way to differentiate between 2-leg rats and 4-leg rats. These are the 2-legged ones we're trying to work with here.
Yeah, they think way differently than the 4-legged rats. Not entirely better either, at least not in all ways. You think rats are somehow more observant than people are?
She definitely thinks that.
Yeah, you might observe that, a rat can watch a rat climb up a wall and follow them immediately. But people would stand around for 2 hours talking about how the person just did that, without even attempting it. It's baffling. But so, after some training and you all come back together again, perhaps you all are sitting out front of the dining hall and getting some food for the evening again. You all hear that great chant building at the top of the hill in the city. A familiar that you all know the words in Goblin now. Meet for the masters. As night has, dusk has hit. It's deep enough. More goblins are awake than before. And you know that the night, it's there. The night is theirs so far. And so you'll spend a bunch of time preparing, for weeks to come, but also very much for the next several hours. You all expect some sort of attack at night. While you all, just sort of finished eating and everyone's kind of getting into places, you've got, people arrayed around the square now to defend. There's a ruckus toward the north. You hear Pell shouting. And then he shouts for people to move the barricade. It's opened aside just enough to let one armored figure in. A figure that, well, Helena and Millie both recognize. A man named Garen, captain of the guard in this district. As he's brought back in, he is in rough shape. He is beaten. His helm is sort of dented and hanging like to the side. His stubbled face is a mass of worry, pain, relief, and strain all at the same time. He's not necessarily a young person. He's limping in. He's kind of using the bottom of his very tall shield, almost like a crutch, to make his way in. He helps, though. Pell and the others push the barricade closed again. His back to it, you can hear him asking Pell, "Now, who is it that's in charge? Who is in charge?" "What do you mean? Someone's taken charge." "Are you kidding me?" He's kind of looking out, and maybe you all are standing up at this point and looking out over the place. And you can see Garen looking you all's way. And his eyes are sort of, he's looking either at Millie or Helena. You all are kind of clustered together. Y'all are probably, maybe more, hopefully you all are more familiar with him than he is with you all.
Garen, how did you survive?
Still not sure I did. Let's see here. No time for that. They're coming. And you can hear, now the individual sounds of weapons clattering together, shields slamming against weapons, and what was just sort of almost like the sound of rain is now become the pattering of many feet and the stomping of many boots as goblins march down the hill toward you all. There's some whistles from spotters above, indicating that goblins are also massing up on the north, south, southeast and west sides as well. Small clusters. Hand gestures and such, and calls, whistles, hand gestures, and shouted curses tell you that from each avenue there are clusters of goblins, larger contingents to the north and to the south. Thankfully, none of these are aerial, but some of them are climbing up buildings and beginning to move along some of those buildings toward the buildings that abut the square. You all have maybe a handful of minutes, says Garen. And Garen. Who's ready to fight and die for Arabelle? He says. Dying may be the best use some of us can make of our poor lives, says the man. You all can make insight checks.
That's sad.
Oh, it's not a happy sounding thing, but go ahead and make insight checks. It doesn't sound like a pleasant thing to hear or say. X, you're certain that might work for soldiers, but that's not going to work for this crowd of people. And Lokag, you think that was a very pathetic death boast, if you've ever heard one. You didn't believe that he meant it at all. You think he's actually afraid to die. So as Garen enters the square, the rasping of wood against stone as the barricade is pushed back together, the building noise of goblins sweeping down, and Some of you can hear the smaller sounds of goblins creeping up on you from different sides. And now with also, X, your insight is that while it's good to have a guard captain, you can immediately tell by this person's attitude and bearing that they're going to be a problem for how you and your crew have been doing things. But how, you ask? Well, we're going to have to find out next week in the Goblin Stone, when all shall be revealed, at least all that can be revealed within 3 hours.
You mean all plus one extra player clue that we got?
Yes.
That was unlocked.
Maybe I too. Is that what I mean?
I like that you're able to use your moats to buy the party a clue. Because we're clueless.
Well, I know that I think my fellow dungeon masters, you can all attest to this. You'll think you made something obvious. You'll think you laid enough clues. You thought you made the interesting hook, but somehow the party just missed the key piece of information. You know, and yeah, I just thought it was a fun incentive for and maybe you've gotten the clue. Maybe it's another deeper and better clue. Maybe you've got all the information you thought you needed and you're having the boss fight. Maybe you still get a clue in the middle of that boss fight that makes the boss fight even cooler, right? So it's one of those things we'll play it out as it comes, and we'll see what fun we can make of it.
Maybe it gives us one of those moments where somebody just goes, you know, my character would know that.
Yeah, I mean that could be one of the cases. It might be something somebody else says. It might be a sign one of you spies, an augury you spy in the clouds, or you see the right combination of birds flying in the right direction. You're like, wait a minute, you know, because it's a fantasy world, and all of those things are legit and real.
Bird called dragon.
Mm-hmm. But let's see here. So yeah, that was I've been looking forward to that for a minute. You all being able to get back to the square and meet some people, do some things, make some plans, get some more information. If there's any homework, you know, think throughout next week, or you know, just as a thing to you get to play with in the game. Is, you know, you can kind of make whatever you want of the square based on what materials you can get, and you know what you can get done. And like, I look forward to the square changing and growing throughout the campaign. Or maybe you all find another building and move everybody somewhere else. That'd be cool too. But these are sort of your people that you're charged to take care of, and they're also charged to take care of you. You all are all in it together. And so I look forward to this situation kind of changing, and it was fun to kind of go around and see what you all were wanting to do and see what grabbed your interest when I just kind of threw bits of story and stuff out there. So yeah, let's check in and see if there were any highlights or any things you all want to remind anybody about, or anything like that. You know, takeaways from the night, things like that. So how about you, Helena, or Pon?
I think Helena is a character that I thought I had figured out really well, and I think I have in a lot of ways, but she's been pleasantly surprising me. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but like, her being super excited about that armor surprised me a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I think something has shifted in her where wanting to take care of her ratlings makes her want to, I think, outwardly demonstrate that she is a force to contend with, because, you know, it's more protection, you know?
Right.
I'm scarier now.
Gotta look like a bigger rat.
Yeah. So that's been fun. I've really liked, for me tonight, I thought it was kind of fun because there were so many suggestions for Helena, and I took, I think, 3 of them, and I thought that was a lot of fun. I completely forgot about the cheese also, and I'm really glad that was brought back to my attention.
Cheese berries.
That's the rest of the game. That's too good. It's important.
I love it. Heck yeah. How about you, J-Fink?
Yeah, enjoyed it. The kind of mix of interactions that we all had with different people, kind of really setting the mood and tone. The attempted sale of the stolen chess set that I'm sure will not confuse all of us at the end. Yeah, no, overall, it's good. I think because we don't really have like a timeline for that aerial attack. It's kind of what's holding us back from just charging in again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Clifford? Any big standout things? Any big mysteries that you're curious about, or things you're excited about for next sessions, or anything?
I mean,
what
yeah,
stood out
there's
for
a
you?
ton of there's many mysteries. I think even my fellow players have a lot to unravel about what's their motivation, where they're coming from. So I'm learning more about, not just superficially, but we have new NPCs coming in, and I'm interested to see what their influence is. I think Cliff's head's going to be on a swivel, just trying to read all of this, just read all these people coming and going and trying to make sense of it. So yeah, I think this is just doubled in the amount of lore and information and people to think about just in this one session. So
Well, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody ever feels overwhelmed with it, you don't have to remember all of it.
yeah, no,
Just the
it's
stuff you
great.
like.
It's very rich lore. Appreciate it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Big Bra, how about you? Anything that stand out more than anything else for the session for you?
Yeah, I liked how the townsfolk were all kind of grouping together, getting this area more defensible, and also, I mean, just getting some refresh on equipment, and getting prepared to head back out was it was a nice break from the constant near death experience of being in the stone.
Awesome. That's kind of like in the way that I've putting the campaign together. I want that to be like a tangible, almost visceral feeling, like, oh, we're back at the square, thank God. Without, but it be actually fun, I guess. So heck yeah, I'm glad that is working for you. Sorry to interrupt though.
No, that was it.
All right, heck yeah. Well, DL, how about you? Any standouts for you? Any things that you're focused on going ahead, or real curious about, or think that one of the other characters should do, or what you think?
Bry stole a lot of it. I mean, I thought it was nice to be back in the more, where you're not in a constant panic or like think something's going to attack you or whatever. So that was nice. Up until the point where we're going to get attacked before we get to sleep anyway. But yeah. So it was nice to be in the square. It was nice to, do some character development and see, all the interactions and stuff like that, kind of bring our little town to life. It's nice.
Heck yeah. So next session, defending the square and more. But before we can do that, we will have to end this session. Unfortunately, all things must come to an end. Everything that goes up must come down, and yeah, the game starts and it has to end. So, my Mythlanders, thanks for another awesome Monday. I'll see most of you at other games throughout the week. For our viewers and friends that have come and hung out and been a part, thanks so much for being here Monday after Monday. And we'll see you again next Monday. There is more changes and more mystery within this world, and there'll be more stuff coming to chat and such soon too. heck yeah. You know where to come if you're looking for a game mid of the week, evenings. And we will see you all next week. Good night, everybody. Oh, let's see
Right.
here.
Good night, y'all. Good night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the rating part. All right.
Nice.
Raid no man. All right, friends. Good night, and thank you so much. See y'all next time.
Right. Thanks. Have a good night, y'all.